Hey, what up, YouTube? It is your boy, Big Man MTG, back with another video. And this time it's a bit more interesting one. Is it worth it to play Commander? Is it worth your time, your money, and your effort to make a Commander deck? Is it really worth it? Now, I'm gonna keep it simple here. In reality, yes, it is worth it. And this is why. This video is why it is worth it. Now, I'm gonna get started here with simply the resources available to you. Now, with the internet, there's everything, a whole bunch of information you can use to help you understand what you want to do with a deck. Now, like if you're looking for a standard deck, you can look up a card, boom, you got a deck for it. Same with Modern and Commander. You say, oh, I want to build a deck around Eureka. You look up Eureka, the Tiger Shadow EDH deck, and it's there for you. Same with any other card. The resources available to you is what makes building decks a lot easier. I believe having those resources available to you makes building them decks a lot more worth it. Now, does it ruin the creativity aspect of building deck? Yes and no, because you always include your pet cards, which is your creative element to a deck. So personally, I'm okay with it. Now, another reason to get into a format like Commander is the absolute abundance of commanders. Look at all these commanders. All of them playable, all of them top tier. And they don't even need to be playable or top tier. You can run legitimately the absolutely weirdest commander. You're gonna build a mono white commander deck? Look at all the themes that are here for you, all the decks. I want to build a mono white hate bearer. Boom. Look at that. I'm building Elish Norn. There we go. Got a deck. As simple as that. EDH Rec is the place to be if you want to build an EDH deck, and having this resource available to you is fantastic. Especially when you don't know what you want to build. Let's say you're looking through, you're like, hey, I want to look through and find a theme here. Oh wow. The availability of so many themes in Commander is amazing. You want to build an equipment deck? Boom. You want to do Mardu equipment. Look at all the options. Commander has a variety of options, and that's what makes Commander amazing. That you can see so much. It's a casual format. So you get to see a whole bunch of different decks, play with a whole bunch of different cards. Like for example here, let's go to an example. In a competitive format, who's going to be able to see a deck like this? It's Group Hug. That's not going to work in competitive format. It's just not. But in a casual format, you're available to play these certain cards like Rites of Flourishing, Tempt of Discovery, Dictate of Kruphix. These decks allow you to use your cards. And they're all different. All these decks are different in how they work. And that's the best part about it. Commander is very, very, very different. Every time you jump into like a match, you'll be seeing new commanders around the table every single time. It's never the same. That's what you gotta love about it, the variety of commander. What also is great about commander is the cost of the commander decks. So I'm using here the draftsim.com to help me figure out how much does the average commander deck cost. And now you can go into detail about the pre-cons, which are usually 20 to 40 bucks, depending on which one you get, and the homemade decks that you can make that are around 200 to $400. So keep that in mind. Homemade's always around 200 to 400. You can always find cheaper decks too, but all in all, roughly a commander deck will cost you between $39 to $400. Now, saying this, you can always make them cheaper. You can always make them more expensive. This is just a rough range. And that's what makes this format fantastic, is the fact that you can play Commander for cheap. Not all formats are cheap. You want to build a legacy deck or a vintage deck? Forget about it. That's in the thousands of dollars. That's just not going to freaking work. And Commander is cheaper, a shit ton cheaper. And it's an eternal format. That means nothing rotates. I can build, let's say, let's go back to I can build an Atraxa deck. As long as she doesn't get banned or any of the cards get like banned or anything, I can have this Atraxa deck for the rest of my life. It's an eternal format. It can just stay there. Everything, as long as they remain legal and not get banned, can remain in the deck forever. That's the best part about it. That's what makes Commander worth it. You can spend your money on something that you know won't get rotated out or straight up banned. Like Commander, there's not a lot of bans. The Commander group don't really like banning things. They usually like banning one card every 10 years or something like that. But like it, Commander, there's not a lot of bans. That means you're available to play the decks you want to play, and they're all legal. You won't have to worry about them getting banned from under you. Unlike a certain format we all know, Standard. With a standard deck costing around $200 to $1,000, having a deck like that banned from under you really sucks. That it's awful. It's an awful feeling. I've been a victim of this. I was building a Rampaging Ferocidon deck. It was a Dino aggro deck. And at the time, I mean, Rampaging Ferocidon was like, I can't remember what it was, 5 or 7 or $10 around there. And I had to get a full playset of them. And I was working my way. I got like 3 of them, and I just got my fourth to have it banned from me 2 days later. I never even got to test the deck. It got banned from me, and that hurt because I spent time and money building a deck list, buying the cards for the deck, just not be able to play it because it got banned. And now back then, standard decks weren't this expensive, but nowadays everything's more expensive, including standard. And having like let's say like a $900 standard deck banned from under just banned from under you, that hurts. Wow, it hurts. It hurts bad. It absolutely blows to have that happen to you. Now I'm shocked that that number is that high to $1,000 for a standard deck. I I I don't want to believe that, but yet again, I don't 100% know if that's true or not. Okay, so now looking at it, the average standard decks I'm seeing are roughly around $200 to $500. Now that is still crazy expensive because that's a commander deck right there. And these standard decks, they'll either get banned or rotated out, meaning the cards in like a year will be worthless because they're no longer played in standard. And that hurts a lot because you never get the return on your investment anymore. Like with Commander, you get those Commander staples, they'll usually stay a pretty decently in their price range for a longer time compared to Standard, which rotates at least uh, in a year with how much sets are coming out. Like it's honestly amazes me that Standard is still a format. Who would want to spend their money on a deck that rotates in a year? Now, if you love Standard, by all means, continue to play it. I used to love Standard too. I loved it to the death of me. But at a certain point, I realized I'm spending more and more money to play with these decks that are useless to me in a year, and I was just not a big fan. I looked at Commander. I'm like, oh, or like Commander. Modern and Pioneer. I'm like, oh, these are eternal formats. I can make a deck and leave it for a year and still play with it. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's fantastic. There's no rotation that ruins my deck. In Modern, although an eternal format, also has a rotation. It's artificial. It's an artificial rotation. This is what this is. The average Modern deck costs $900 to $1,200. That is amazing. That is high. Absolutely ballistic. And there's an artificial rotation with Modern Horizons. Modern Horizons 1 and 2. These sets produce staples for modern decks that need to be played in order to have their modern deck stay competitive. For example, Ragavan. This guy was printed in Modern Horizons 2. And all he's done is become a modern staple in any modern deck. You need to have him because he's absolutely broken. His ability is broken for 1 mana. You've probably heard this from everywhere. But just because now he's now a modern staple, because he's been printed into a Modern Horizons set, he's now worth a lot of money. A big lots of money. Which just is their artificial rotation. This is what Wizards of the Coast does. Which, that's what they do, is what they do. You can't stop them as much as we wish we could. Ugh. Just be happy it's an eternal format. I suggest playing Pioneer. That's my personal opinion, because I think Modern is just absolutely way too expensive right now. Just stupid expensive, thanks to artificial rotation by Wizards. And hopefully Pioneer or Commander. Commander's already gotten some sets like that, but not enough where it's like, oh, I have to replace all these cards with these ones because these ones are staples or whatever. You can play with whatever cards you want because it's a casual format. Casual is pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't force you to get the next big hit card to stay competitive. You don't have to get that big hit card. You can continue playing with your deck just fine. That is why Commander is the best format. In long term and short term, will probably be the most played format. All in all, that has been my review on Commander. If it's worth it, it kind of went on to a modern rant in the end, but personally, Commander is the cheapest. It is the most accessible. Everyone plays it. So short and long term, yes, it's going to be the best format. It's just your friends are all playing Commander. Everyone has a Commander deck now. No, it's hard to play Standard anymore. Modern's been priced out. If you're rich, go ahead play Modern. But if you're not like the rest of us, you can't really play it. And that's why you have Pioneer, because Pioneer is a shit ton cheaper. It's getting up there in price though. Some cards are getting expensive, but it's a shit ton cheaper than what Modern is. All in all, this has been Big Man MTG telling you that Commander is fucking worth it compared to every other format right now. So I hope you guys like the video. Please like and subscribe. You guys have a wonderful day and peace.